I am giving away my 25-year-old race car. I'm not joking. Hey, I just wanted to jump in here for a second and let you know about this video before you watch the whole thing. It is a little long and it's a lot of history on the cars and moving and things like that. So give it a chance to build. It is pretty interesting, at least I think it is, but it's also about me. So it just kind of gives you some backstory as to the cars and what kind of racing was done in some of them and how we got to the fact that I'm giving away my 25-year-old race car. Hi, I'm Jeremy. This is MS Videos, and I'm holding a steering wheel. That's a steering wheel, in case you didn't catch that the first time. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to go over the cars that we have in our possession. The reason I'm doing this is tomorrow, my Mazda that I've had for 24 years is going to a new home. It's a little sad, but there's a story behind it. This steering wheel has seen a lot of use. My Mazda, I have a 1988 Mazda MX6 that has been through everything with me. I bought that car because the cars I wanted I couldn't afford, and I needed a car, and it looked cool to me. I was like, man, that kind of looks like a Skyline. I was like, I dig it. It's not a Skyline. It's a front-wheel drive, truck engine powered Mazda. But it was cool, and I ended up making that car quite fast. In the course of a few years, I converted it to the turbo model, then did a full chassis swap and made it into the GT model with every single nut and bolt and wire in the car converted to the GT chassis. At that point, I had upped the turbo about two times, got it up to 20 pounds of boost. It was popping turbos about every 500 miles because they couldn't keep up. Just kept building the car faster and faster and faster. Ran that thing in autocross, road rally, road racing, hill climbs, all sorts of stuff. Don't actually have that many photos of it in the last few years on the devices that I have because it's been sitting in storage. It has not driven on its own power since 2004 or 2005. The last time I remember really driving the car to rod run, and I think that was 2005. Decided to post the car up a couple years ago because I just didn't want to scrap it. Car is fully caged. It's got an FE3 sitting in it. The FE3, by the way, just a quick touch on that, is a 2-liter 4-cylinder iron blocked aluminum head dual overhead cam engine that only was produced in cars that were made in Japan in the late 80s. Was a very potent engine that didn't see any US time. It caught my attention very early on, and it was always a pipe dream. And back when I had Fast Road Motorsports going, I came across an importer that had 3 FE3s available. We bought all 3, imported them into the country. I kept one, he took one, and we sold the other one off. I don't even remember to who now. Built it up to be turbocharged. My goal was 650 to 700 horsepower out of it. It never came to fruition. So motor's been sitting in the car for a very long time. Ever since we came to California, I literally put the motor into the chassis so that we could tow it to California. And that's where the problem started, is during that process, I decided to take shortcuts because I was in a hurry, and I did not install the axles into the car. Transmission and motor in the car, put the motor mounts through to keep the engine from falling out. It was not wired up, there was no fluids hooked up, it was just sitting in the car. Rush that I was in, I didn't put the axles in. If I would have put the axles in and I put the axle nuts on, it would have held everything together and it would have been fine, but it didn't. And so what happened is, as we were rolling the car around from one place to another in one of the moves, the wheel bearings decided to pop loose because there was nothing holding them together, but all the weight of the car was on them. And that just started the downfall of the Mazda. It needs to be wired up. It needs to be fully detailed and gone through because everything has been rotted off. And it's a mess. And that's what happens when you move to apartments and you can't work on your cars. So the car is going to a new home tomorrow. A guy on Facebook hit me up saying he lives in Colorado. He'd love to grab the car. And I said, if you're willing to drive here from Colorado, I'll give you the car. I just don't want to scrap it. And the reason I'm getting rid of it and not rebuilding it is because I have 3 cars right now that do not have engines in them. And after some discussions, we'll say, I decided that I had already tried to get rid of the Mazda once. I would just try a little harder. This guy hit me up. He seems legit. He's going to race it. He's going to use it, so he can have it. I told him I wasn't going to have a steering wheel because I'm keeping something off that car. And this is what I'm keeping. It's a steering wheel. This is going to go in the new shop, hang on the wall with a picture of the Mazda from winning the 2004 Rugged Mount Hood Challenge. Went undefeated that year in rally racing in that car with my navigator Simon. Which brings me to why we figured might as well talk about all the cars in the collection. So next car, bought a 1985, let me take that back. I traded an Edelbrock intake manifold and 654 barrel carb from a Chevy small block for a 1985 Toyota Corolla GTS with body damage that was pulled from an old lady's yard that had been sitting there for a very long time because she parked it onto a rock and said, well, it's just gonna sit there. And my buddy came across it and was like, I bet you I can get that car off of her. And I think it was one of those deals. She said, if you can get it running, you can have it type of a thing. And he did. And I said, I'll trade you because I wanted a Corolla. It's rear wheel drive. I mean, come on, it's an 85 Corolla. It's the last of the rear wheel drive Corollas. Let's go. He traded me. He used the manifold and carb on a truck. I think it was his truck. And I got the Corolla. And I built it up and literally rattle canned the car with my daughter Aspen when she was a little girl. That's how long ago this was. And started racing it on the weekends and having fun with it and blowing motors up and then putting different motors in and building it up more and then blowing those motors up, and then it sat. Got a block and head and internals to build a full Formula Atlantic motor 4A GE to put in the car. And it was in the car. The only things I needed to secure to finish it were the camshafts and to wire the ECU up. And I never got there. Moving cross country multiple times, it sat so long that water got inside of the car and did some damage to some things, including the cylinder walls. When I was deciding that I was just going to put another 4A GE in it or get an F2 and put an S2000 swap in it, I decided to list the Formula Atlantic, and a guy in Australia hit me up and was like, I'll take it. So I pulled the motor out of the car, drove it to Portland in the back of my wife's Subaru, had them rebuild it in literally a day. They took it apart, pulled everything that was usable out, gave me a new block, fit everything in, machined everything. The engine was crated up and shipped off to Australia, which he's now using in a period correct race car build from the 80s, and I think that's awesome. The engine lives on, and the Corolla is going with me to Idaho and being rebuilt. It is on a short list to get rebuilt because I have 90% of the parts to rebuild the car in those boxes right over there. And that brings us to the next car, which is a 2006 Infiniti G35. When I bought the G35, I needed a car that was rear-wheel drive, manual transmission, and had enough room in the back to fit my stump bag, which is basically a suitcase full of gear. You know, all the things you think about when you need a newer car, because I had been driving older cars because I like old cars. I have no problem driving around a 30-year-old shit box as long as it runs good. It doesn't bug me. I needed a small sports car to play around with, so there comes the Infiniti. And it met all of my needs really, really good for about 1 year until the motor popped because I was beating the shit out of the car. To be fair, I was drifting the car on a regular basis. I have videos at Willow Springs. I raced it at Willow Springs. I used it in commercials to film car chase scenes and all sorts of stuff. It was never built up to be able to handle that. The car died. It has less than 90,000 miles on it, and it's a 2006. It's been at the Fab Guy's shop to get a roll cage and tube chassis put on the front end. So it's been sitting since the Atlanta Falcons lost the Super Bowl after winning by 28 points. If you remember that year, that's how long it's been at the Fab Guy's shop. Because we're going to Idaho, I've been trying to find a new place to finish at least the fab work before we move. The Infiniti is going up there, and the Infiniti is going to be going pretty much straight into a fabrication shop that I find starting in July. I'm going to be really looking for a fabrication shop near or around Boise. Short goals: have the Corolla done within the first year of moving there. And then within a year after that car is done, have the Infiniti up pushing about 1,000 horsepower with a 2J swap built to shred. It's not trying to run competitions in it, maybe some track days and things like that, but I'm not trying to be a race car driver, professional drifter with that car. I just want to take it out and make it an exhibition car and show off what I can do in a car. Being honest, I want to show off. It'll be fun. And that brings us to the latest car in the collection, which is the Toyota Tacoma 2023, which I hit 10,000 miles on yesterday. If you followed the channel at all, you know where the truck's at. It's had a bunch of work done to it. I'm building that to just basically be a go anywhere, do anything type of a truck. It's not a Baja truck. I wanted clearance, I wanted traction, I wanted articulation to be enhanced, and I wanted to be able to drive over anything within moderation, within reason, let's put it that way, in front of me. My wife has a brand new Toyota Grand Highlander 2024. It's all-wheel drive, gets her from point A to point B. It's got enough room for her, me, the kid, the baby, the other kid, the dog, and a bunch of suitcases. So it works. Hey, so thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned a little something about me and what we're kind of about. Now you know what kind of cars we drive, so don't follow me. You know I'm armed. And yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. They do help. Ask questions. We'd love to answer questions. Hopefully we'll see you around, hopefully in Idaho soon. So peace.